Cheers to a great head coach winning a cup. So, after about a month of not making videos, a haircut, a depression beard, and a move back to my parents' house, Bruce Cassidy has won the Stanley Cup for the first time in his head coaching career with the Vegas Golden Knights. A fantastic victory. Just incredible play from Vegas during this game, during this series. I think they outscored the Panthers like 26-12. It was insane. I mean, the Panthers just it's incredible that throughout this entire playoffs, up until the finals, the Bruins were still the best. The Bruins were still the team to give the Panthers the Bruins were still the team to give the Panthers their biggest struggle. But now time for the narratives. If you're at all a fan of 98.5 The Sports Hub, first of all, I'm sorry that you're a fan of 98.5 The Sports Hub. Second of all, you've probably heard the narrative at least once over the past month that the Bruins were wrong to fire Bruce Cassidy. Now, Bruce Cassidy is a fantastic head coach who was really good in Boston. The Bruins were right to fire Bruce Cassidy. What so many people need to understand is that Bruce Cassidy's success outside of Boston and Bruce Cassidy's success in Boston are not mutually exclusive. Maybe it's just that Bruce Cassidy is a good head coach. And you know what? His message may have ended up wavering near the end. Near the end of the freaking, it may have ended up wavering off and becoming disagreeable near the end of his tenure in Boston. And you're saying, how can you? And you might be saying, how can you? How is that even possible? Well, the Bruins ended up with their second best record under Cassidy in his last season, and the Bruins had a pretty underratedly good 2021-2022. It definitely felt like they were a lot better than what they're. Although honestly, it actually kind of felt like their record was a lot better than what the actual team was, and that is why they ended up losing in 7 to Carolina. Which honestly, considering that Carolina was one of the best teams in the league last year, I'm fine with us being second fiddle to Carolina in there. That is fine. This year, under Jim Montgomery, the Bruins had a fantastic regular season, and then lost in 7 to Florida. We all know that this happened, but more than anything, it really felt like the Bruins gelled under Montgomery's his coaching style and his message. And it's just that, you know what? Sometimes players need a change of scenery to really be a good player. Before he lost his freaking mind, we were saying that about Evander Kane. All he needed to do was all Evander Kane needed to do was stop being in Buffalo. All Lou Lamoriello needed to do to be a really good GM was to not be in Toronto, and willy-nilly, the Islanders ended up being one of the best teams from 2019 to 2021. Yeah, the Islanders became a really, really good team. Although, to be fair, a good chunk of that was Barry Trotz. Speaking of which, Barry, I really hope that you do well in Nashville. But still, it's entirely possible that a head coach's message runs thin in the locker room. And I think, honestly, there was no better showcase of that happening than with two players. Two players who I had a few criticisms coming into the start of last season for. And this season, all of my problems with them sort of just fizzled away. Those two players, Brandon Carlo and Jake DeBrusk. Yes. Now, Jake DeBrusk I had always criticized for being streaky, and to be fair, he still kind of is. There are moments where he's just kind of completely invisible on the ice. But you also have to take into account. That that really Bruce Cassidy barely utilized Jake DeBrusk. Like, let's go to the start of last season. In 2021-2022, opening night, that perfection line is still the top line. In Bergeron, Marchand, and most notably Pastrnak. Now David Pastrnak, dropping him to the second line with Krejci and Zacha this year, fantastic. And even last year, dropping him to the second line with Haula and Hall. Oh, that was really good. I thought that Haula had scored 20 last season, but I guess I was wrong there. But when that first change happened, when Pastrnak first got moved from the first line to the second, and who immediately replaced him? Because I'll tell you who it was. It wasn't Jake DeBrusk. It was Craig Smith. Bruce Cassidy was a coach who trusted Craig Smith on the top line over Jake DeBrusk. And to be fair, Craig Smith had a few decent had like a decent year and a half with the Bruins. He wasn't necessarily an anchor contract until this year, where he was completely invisible. Well, and honestly, I can sort of see that as just Cassidy sort of being cut from the same kind of cloth that Claude Julien was. Not necessarily that he is Claude Julien, but sort of in the same way that Claude Julien didn't really like playing the younger players. Neither did Cassidy. Cassidy didn't really care about playing younger players. Like, name me, yes. Now, sure. The Bruins didn't really have the Bruins prospect pool in the latter half of the 2010s. Kind of shit. There were only two Bruins prospects drafted between 2016 and 2020 that have made a significant impact on the Bruins so far. Those being actually, you know what, three, because those three. There's one for all three positions of the game. You have on the forward, Trent Frederick. Now, sure, he didn't really put. Now, sure, Frederick. He was someone that Cassidy was gonna keep in that bottom six, and you know what? It's completely fair. Frederick was not really. Frederick was sort of a goon. And then he broke out under Montgomery. We'll get to that in a little bit. Then you get guys. Secondly and goalie Jeremy Swayman. Second, I think actually 4th round pick in 2017. I forget when he was drafted in 17, but he was still drafted in 2017. Didn't really see any play until 2020, 2021, when freaking, let's see, Tuukka was hurt, Halak was hurt, and then Daniel Vladar could not play. So who do they call up? They call up Jeremy Swayman. And lo and behold, he's the best. He's quite possibly the best backup goalie in the entire league right now. Oh, please stay, Jeremy. Please stay. And then lastly, on defense, we have a Norris caliber defenseman in Charlie McAvoy. And those are your 3 major Bruins prospects over the past over the course of the entire span from 2016 to 2020 that have made any sort of progress. Yes. Now, that doesn't mean that the book is completely shut on this, because there is still one prospect during that time, Johnny Beecher. We'll get to him in a little bit. We'll also get to him in a little bit. But the point is now sure, Cassidy didn't really like playing the younger guys. There weren't really many younger guys to choose from, but at the same time, Cassidy didn't really like playing them unless he had to. Especially, honestly, could you imagine if we had Swayman up instead of... Actually, you know what? I think Swayman might not have been ready back then, but it doesn't matter. Here, the point is Cassidy. If Cassidy was here, you would not have seen someone like Lauko take the steps that he did this season. But probably the biggest example of Cassidy not liking to play the young guys is with the skill set that everybody said that he had. Why would you continue to put Jack Studnicka on the 4th line? Jack Studnicka is not necessarily the type of player that you want as a bruiser. He's going to be someone who you want to be able to carry puck possession and potentially even score some goals. You do not put a player like that on the bottom line with the rest of your goons. Now Cassidy. Now sure, what is it now? Montgomery. Sure. Lauko. Sure. Lauko spent most of his time this season on the bottom line with Nosek and Foligno. But it seemed like Foligno and Nosek also seemed to resonate more with Montgomery's message. The point, I feel like the bigger point that I'm trying to make is just because a team decides to part ways from a fantastic player or staff member doesn't necessarily mean that they were wrong to do so. Well, we were saying this about Brady. That yes, it's kind of frustrating that Brady left us and immediately went to win a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay. But you know what? He needed that last change of scenery. He needed to be somewhere that wasn't New England, because he was not thriving here. He was not thriving here after near the end of his day. And it kind of showed in the latter half of the 2019 season where they started 8-0, but it was becoming increasingly evident that it was because of a stacked defense. But ultimately, the Bruins the Bruins with young prospects. If Cassidy were still here, I doubt we see much of them. But with Montgomery, with his willingness to use players like Lauko, like Kopanen, and using them sparingly throughout the season, I feel like we can confidently see at least one other good prospect spend some time up in the bigs next year. Here, I think honestly, a third line of Trent Frederick, Charlie Coyle, and Fabian Lysell is going to be deadly next year. If we can sign Bertuzzi, I feel like that is the biggest offseason move that we need to do. Other than maybe make sure that Bergeron stays. Okay, maybe. Okay, now that I'm thinking about it, we actually have a few big offseason moves we need to make. We need to buy out Riley. First of all, buy out either Riley or Forbort. Mike Riley does not have a spot on an NHL roster right now. He does not need to be taking up an NHL contract. Derek Forbort, anybody who said that this man can kill penalties, I want you to do a UFC style stare down with an oncoming train. He cannot kill penalties. We saw that at the end of the season when he went down with a broken foot, and the Bruins still ended up killing like every single penalty. Amazing play from the Bruins that did not need Forbort. I still don't know what. It's still a mystery as to why he was played over Grzelcyk in the first round. And I still say, if the Bruins play Grzelcyk, that series is done. That series is done in 5, and we're talking about a completely different playoff structure. Here. Ooh, excuse me. And but okay, so big offseason moves. Resign, buy out either Riley or Forbort. Resign Bergeron. Resign Bertuzzi. Resign Frederick. Resign Swayman. Those are your offseason moves. Those are the offseason moves that you need to do. Honestly, you can let Krejci walk. You can let Krejci walk. He is a fantastic player. A fantastic man, a fantastic part of this core. You can let him walk. Trust me. Zacha during the playoffs and near the end of the season showed that he is a capable second line center. And you know what? I feel comfortable saying that. Him and Pastrnak hooked up for amazing goals. And if you get a winger like Bertuzzi back, oh man, it's gonna be juicy. But ultimately, this is the first time in a while I felt comfortable with our prospects. But the reason why I feel comfortable with our prospects is because I know that we have a coach who's willing to use them. Montgomery is our coach for the future. Jim Montgomery is our coach for the future. No, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And honestly, if we had Cassidy, he would not have gotten us. He would have gotten us to the first round where maybe we win. Again. It's up in the air. This entire season is a giant what if. It is the king of what ifs. But ultimately, I don't think that he gets the best out of this roster like Montgomery did. I think now it's entirely up in the air as to whether or not this as to whether or not this is a fluke. I don't think it is. I think that Olmark's play in net this year was definitely a fluke. I think that he's definitely going to have a bit of a drop off next year. If he stays with us, I don't know if he's going to. If we trade Olmark, we better get a first round pick for him, or else we lose that trade, or else we lose this trade. We cannot walk away from a trade that involves Linus Olmark leaving here without a first round pick in 2023. That is my entire thing on Olmark. We better be getting a top 32 pick in the next draft for Olmark, because we need another we need a good prospect. And speaking of prospects, I really don't think that Cassidy next year, I don't think that he would be playing much of Fabian Lysell. I don't think that he would be playing much of Johnny Beecher. I don't think that he would be playing much of Mason Lohrei. Of who is it? Brett Harrison. Actually no. Of Trevor Kuntar. He just had a great season. He just had a great season in the minors, and he just signed an entry level deal with us. I don't think that Cassidy would be playing much of him. Like during last season, we barely saw any of Jack Studnicka. We barely saw any of Oscar Steen. We barely even saw any of Mark McLaughlin. Mark McLaughlin's first game in this in the NHL was an 8-1 rout against the Devils, in which he scored his first goal. But again, it was an 8-1 game. Can we even really call that a game experience? You just like hooray! You added a Glock to your arsenal, stuck to the gills with rocket launchers and grenades. Congratulations, congratulations. You went a little bit overkill there. It felt like one of those things in the NBA where you're up so much that you're just like, hey, let's get the bench players in and let's try to get everybody on the scoreboard. But at the end of the day, even though Bruce Cassidy is one of my favorite head coaches in the league, and he is one of my favorite head coaches in Bruins history, and I'm going to miss him, but I feel happy that Monty's our coach. And that is real, and that should really be the narrative. Is that, yes, the Bruins may have let go of a great head coach, but they were right to do so. Monty got the best out of this team. Cassidy did not get the best out of this team. If Cassidy got the best out of this team, actually no, I can't really say that if Cassidy got the best out of this team, he would have won a cup. Because honestly, the only person that you can put us not getting a cup on is Brad Marchand making that dumbass line change. God damn it, Bradley. But in any case, that's really it. That's really it for me. For at least until I finish the hype tape. It's still not done. But you know what? I have a decent excuse. As to why the hype tape is not done. Da-na-na-na. Yeah, can you really blame me for not finishing the hype tape when a game as good as Tears of the Kingdom exists? It has been hilarious just making the dumbest things on the face of the planet. But you know what? I needed to make a video about the narratives on this team. And you know what? I need to get back to that hype tape. So you know what? Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.